welcome to my tour of Plovdiv. This is a city in central Bulgaria. You might remember me in such videos like An Englishman in Minsk and One Week in Berlin. No, I'm not Troy McClure from The Simpsons, but I am Alex. So thanks for joining me on this trip. I aim to explore Plovdiv in basically one day and one night, and then maybe some of tomorrow as well, before I head on towards the coast. Let's go to work. So I'm currently in Tsar Simeon's gardens. I have to admit, this is the first fountain, and it's called the Singing Fountains. Maybe because of the number of fountains around, there could be all these fountains with people jumping into them as well. But the first fountain that I've ever been tempted to sort of jump into. It looks like a swimming pool. I mean, it's a little bit, there's a bit of algae in there, but you could swim in that if you wanted to. And when it's 36 degrees, it's very tempting.
All my life I've waited to see Greeks grovel with respect for Macedonia.
Reminds me of Police Academy too. Up that. I feel like there must have been an easy way. There's no one up here. Okay, so I made it up to the top of the Russian monument, which basically sort of stands incredibly tall over the city. If you look over here, you can see some chimneys from the industrial area of Plovdiv. That's some very high chimney, but I think we're about the same height as that. And if you look around, there's the city. The old town is just down over there. Which I'm going to go to later. The city hall, which I did film, is just there. And over here we got sort of the outskirts of the town. It's mountains in the distance. See the mountains, the haziness. Yeah, I did have to take my shirt off. It was getting a little bit hot. I had to climb. I think I went the back way because it shouldn't be that difficult to get up here because it's well maintained at the top, but I think I must have gone the sort of back way. It reminded me of Police Academy 2, the movie. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Get me out of here!
Now, Zed, you're being reasonable.
I hate reasonable! 2 minutes, Steve!
Hi, boys.
Whoa! Sir! No,
But wow, I am the only person here. It's like a slight concern though. Slight concern is it did seem a little bit sketchy coming up. There was graffiti everywhere. I think on a bad day, a person on the road might get unlucky. I would suggest coming up here with friends if I were you. First sign of life. It's father and son just behind me. They came up the sensible way. I passed them near the bottom. Yeah, really nice up here. So this monument basically sort of remembers the people that, the Russians that basically gave their lives to liberate the Bulgarians, effectively, which then in turn turned it into the old Soviet, into the Soviet Union. But they should be remembered nonetheless because they did fight against fascism. Yes, they weren't perfect either. Onwards. Should have really come up this way instead of climbing the mountain. I'll go down this way. Okay, so what's interesting about the mountain, well, large hill, I'm not sure if it's a mountain that I climbed, the rocks stem all the way back to the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, and it's actually a protected spot of land, so they can't develop anything on this land. They can maintain a couple of the old buildings that are towards the bottom, which you see here, but this is literally right at the foot of the big hill. So it's amazing to think what the rocks at the top that I just climbed have seen over the 65 million years. Some amazing sights, I'm sure. But sadly, I must move onwards because there's a lot of this city to blitz. So let's go see what else there is.
On March 3rd, back in 1878, after 5 centuries of Ottoman oppression, Bulgaria achieved independence. Which is a good thing, and not just if you're Bulgarian. You want communities that see themselves as communities to have the right to determine their own affairs. But there is unfortunately a big but here. Bulgaria got its independence, and so formally did Romania and Serbia and Montenegro, though they had already actually broken free of the decaying Ottoman rule, as a result of the Russo-Turkish War, a short affair in which even the hapless Tsar's regime turned out to have an overwhelming advantage over the sick man of Europe. Everybody knew that the Ottomans were moribund, that they were going to fall apart, but nobody wanted it to happen because they didn't know what to do with the pieces, other than start fighting over them. As the Balkans gained their independence, great power intrigues got more and more serious there. And as great power intrigues got more and more serious, it became more and more apparent that the vacuum created by the decay of the Ottomans would lead to an explosion. And sure enough it did, because of course World War I starts in the Balkans, with a showdown between Russia, which is expanding its influence there, and other great powers, if I may use that term of Austria-Hungary, but it certainly was true of Germany, who were afraid that Russia was going to pick up too many of the pieces and wind up with control of the exit from the Black Sea. So the problem with Bulgarian independence isn't Bulgaria, it isn't independence. It's what happens when power vacuums arise that are necessarily going to draw in players whose aims and ambitions are incompatible with one another.
I'm inside this museum, and it highlights basically how Bulgaria became an independent nation, free from the Ottoman Empire and free from invaders such as the Serbs, and also free from the Soviets after they'd liberated them, and now they're a free nation. But what is sad though, it's difficult to comprehend all of it because most of it's not in English. So that was the Museum of Bulgarian Unification. A little bit limiting, it wasn't in English, slightly unfortunate. There was the odd thing in English, you could see what a gun was in English, but most of the descriptions were not in English. I think what you need to do there is basically point your camera and use Google Translator, but that is limiting. I had to admit my 3G wasn't working very well in there, so I wasn't able to sort of take full advantage of that. It was only 3 Bulgarian currency, which is about £1.50 roughly. So yeah, go if you've got time, but it's not amazing. Although the most impressive piece in there was the British carriage that was basically a gift from the Brits to the Bulgarians, and in 1885. So yeah, I mean, go if you've got time, but don't go out of your way. What you just saw there were the remnants of an amphitheater. Obviously, an amphitheater is places gladiators would go to do battle, slaves would go to get killed. Many things would happen there. What you also saw was the fact there was a mosque just built almost on top of it, right next to it. Basically, the amphitheater would have been fairly well preserved since the second century. Or actually, no, I think it was 2 BC it was built, so it's 2,200 years old. It would have then effectively been destroyed as the Ottomans came in, and this has been witnessed all over Europe. The Ottoman Empire, basically, just like ISIS, as I've stated before, have come in and basically destroyed things that doesn't relate to their culture. It's a real shame. Something that we are now seeing in America, leftists knocking the heads off George Washington and pulling down statues. You guys are like ISIS, you guys are like the Ottoman Empire. It's just pathetic, really.
This one cannot be visible right now because every civilization was The settlement continued to grow until in the 4th century BC, the first of the many different empires came over here to conquer the city, and it was the Macedon Empire. Philip II, the father of Alexander the Great, conquered the city, and apparently he liked it a lot because he named it after himself. He named it Unification, which means the city of Philip, and he made it even bigger. He made even better fortifications, and he made a palace for himself in the center of it, on top of the street area over there. But what happened with this empire, as with any other empire in history, it's always demise. Otherwise, if you're not going to be over here for the next 5 days, it's you. Most of you are not. Manage it? Congratulations. This is the biggest uphill climb of the whole tour. So if you have managed it so far, you're going to be managing it until the end of the way. Afterwards, in the 18th, 19th century, people started to build houses on top of it. You can see how they started to build their houses literally on top of the wall. And in other parts, regards to the
So I just was on a tour. It's called Free Tours, except of course tip them at the end. It was a good tour. Just saw the Roman amphitheater. Just saw the old town. I saw the main centre, the artist quarter. I highly recommend the tour. It's free tours. It's on every day at 2 o'clock in the main square and also at 6 o'clock. Give it a go. But so far, this is a very, very beautiful city. Look at it, look. Very nice, eh? Storm is coming. Look. Oh dear. I think I need to take some cover. Yeah, so just walking around the old town, been to a few bars so far. One really nice craft beer bar, another place where they were actually playing Game of Thrones. I had to walk away because I haven't actually seen the last episode, so I didn't want to actually watch the current episode. I'm 2 episodes behind. It's really, really nice. It's peaceful. It's a nice place. Lots of activity, and it's a Monday night, so yeah. So coming to the end of my time in Plovdiv. Just one night spent in Plovdiv, whole day yesterday and day today. Next stop, I will be heading to the coast, the Bulgarian coast, to go see the Black Sea. I'm not sure where I'm going yet. I'm just basically trying to get a bus. I'm currently at the bus station. Very empty bus station, but it's pleasant. Grey skies, first grey skies in weeks. Temperatures drop dramatically. It almost feels like England. But thank you for watching. If you like this video, click subscribe, and we can hopefully get you alerted for when I next post one of these random videos about something. But it will likely be my trip by the Black Sea in Bulgaria. Thanks for watching.